had bleeding, like flopping against the window. Do not recommend. Back negative. Hey girl. Hey girl. So Z turned 5 months yesterday. So that makes exactly a year of when I found out I was pregnant. Actually, I found out on March 4th last year in 2023. So I am going to talk about how I found out I was pregnant and my first trimester symptoms. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start, my last period before I found out I was pregnant was on January 18th, I believe. No, I'm lying. It was on February 18th. Hold on, let me look at my notes because I think I actually wrote this down. Okay, yeah. My last period before I found out I was pregnant was January 18th, 2023. And I found out on March 4th. So I found out a week after my period was supposed to come. But the way I found out, it really doesn't make sense when I tell most people. They're like, oh, how did you find out you were pregnant? And I'm like, it was really like mother's intuition came to me like as soon as they met each other. Like as soon as the egg met the sperm and all that, it's like I already had mother's intuition. And that sounds so crazy because it's like you're not even a mom yet technically. What's the matter? Is it no milk coming out? So the thing is, I was actually fasting when I found out I was pregnant. I was not drinking like liquor. I wasn't drinking wine. I wasn't drinking anything. And I worked at the club, so that was very important to me that I took that break because I just felt like I needed a break from everything. So I took that break. I'm trying to, if it's okay with you, you know? But I just feel like I really needed a break from drinking because I had been drinking so heavily. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go. I think I did 10 days. I want to say I did 10 days. If not 10 days, it was like 14 days. But I did no alcohol. And I want to say I did like no fast food or something. I really can't remember. But I know for sure it was no alcohol. But I just was feeling real like I was supposed to be doing something. I don't even know how to explain, but it was just like a feeling of I'm supposed to be doing something, and I just like, I don't know. I feel like I had a mission to complete. So within that time of fasting, I'm praying, trying to figure out what's going on, and then I started having dreams. I was dreaming of fish, and you know the old people say, oh, if you dream of fish, then you know somebody else is pregnant. But then I thought back to activities 3 weeks before, and I was like, you want to be in a video so bad, huh? Huh? Yes. But yeah, I was thinking of activities, of course, from like 3 weeks before, and I was like, there's no way. Like there's no way. The dreams of fish I were having were so vivid. It was like I was walking through a hospital, right? And in the hospital there was a big pond. Like you know how outside of like places it'd be like a big pond, like a rectangle pond with the waterfalls or whatever, and the sprinklers splashing out and stuff like that. It was one of them, and it was fish in the pond, but they were like jumping out. Instead of it being water splashing out, it was fish. And then I was running down the hallway of the hospital. I was running. And the fish were literally chasing me. How are fish chasing me? That makes no sense. Crazy. And then like I was trying to look out the window of the hospital as I was running, and it was fish like flopping against the windows trying to get in towards me. And I was like, wow. So at that moment I kind of already knew, and that was before anything else. That was before a test. That was before anything. But then I took a test on the week before my period was supposed to come. So I took a test on February. Ow. I took a test on February, I took the test on like February 18th. So that was 3 weeks after my last period. The test came back negative. And you know they say don't look at the test after you let it sit for 10 minutes. Don't look at it. But I threw it in the trash, and then I went back to look at it like an hour later or something, like the next time I was in the bathroom, and it was a very faint line on there, and I was like, nah, that's just the evap line, because you know you're not supposed to look at it after 10 minutes. I was wrong, clearly. So yeah, I took the test, I got the faint line. So the next week, my period, usually before my period comes, I usually like spot or something, and I didn't spot, which was weird to me, because I always spot like 3 or 4 days before my period, like very light, not enough to fill a pad or a liner or anything, but just like a little spot, and I have like a little bit of cramps and stuff, and I had none of that. So I was like, okay, this is weird. Maybe it's just gonna come like on the exact day of my period and I won't spot this time. I was wrong. But yeah, so what did I do? So the day of my period, I took another test. I was in the bed all day that day. And like I said, I worked at the club, so I was going to work around, it was probably 9 o'clock that day. I was like, let me just go to work. So I got up and I took a shower. No, I turned the water on to take a shower. And it was the last day of my fast. Keep that in mind. The last day of my fast. So I was like, oh, let me go pour me a glass of wine, because the fasting is over or whatever. So then I went and grabbed me a glass of wine, and then something said, get that other test that's under your cabinet. So I went and grabbed that test. I sat on the toilet. I took the test. I put it down, and then I grabbed my phone to set the timer. The timer was probably only set for like 40 seconds. Like, it was probably only running for like 40 seconds. So I grabbed the test and I looked at it. Girl, why did it say positive? I wish I still had the freaking video. Some way the freaking video deleted, so I don't have it anymore. But I literally was in such disbelief, because I was like, it's the fact that I already knew that threw me off, for one. And how fast the test turned. It was like, there's no way that this test is wrong. But of course I was like, oh, I called one of my friends from the club. And I was like, because we were actually talking about it at work one day. She said that she had a dream that she was pregnant. And I was like, what if you dreaming about me? Because you know they say if you dream about yourself as something, then usually it's about somebody else. So I was like, what if you having that dream and I'm the one pregnant? And she was like, girl, you're not pregnant. So I called her and told her, and she was like, wow. And she was like, what you gonna do? That's another conversation. But anyway, so I went to the store immediately and got another test. I told my neighbor what was going on, because me and my neighbor was like this. Like, he was probably like 40 something, but me and my neighbor used to talk about everything, and we would just go hang out on the balcony and like chill and stuff. So he was like, yeah, go get another test, and I think you should go ahead and tell him now. And I was like, I probably will, because why? Like, I don't see a reason to wait. Like, regardless of what situations, I don't see a reason to wait. I'm just telling man, it don't matter. But anyway, I went to the store, got another test. After I got the test, I went back to my house and I took the test, and I got a digital one this time. Digital test said positive. Right there in my face, positive. I wish I had the video. And if I do have these videos, I'm gonna go look when I finish recording. I'm gonna like put them on here so y'all can see. But anywho, after I took the test, I went to hang out with my neighbor, and we was just sitting there talking about her dad and just like all of that stuff. So he was like, yeah, you need to go tell him. But her dad was at work, so I was like, maybe I'll just wait until like this weekend or something when he's not at work. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just get it over with. I'm gonna just get over with. So I called him and I was like, well, no, I texted him and I went by his job, but he was still working, of course. He was too busy. So I was like, oh, you need to come over tonight. I need to talk to you. Just come over, blah, 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 blah. So later that night, he came over and I was like, so that's another thing. And this is why I believe that words are so powerful, and you like really have to be careful what you say and how you say it and the words that you choose to use. Because when I first met him, we were talking about like children and we was just talking like just regular conversation, but we was talking about kids. And I made a joke and I was like, because he didn't have kids, and I was like, oh, do you want one? It was a joke. I wasn't serious, but I think he took that to heart. He took that to heart. But not only that, I had told somebody else. Yeah, another conversation for another day. Anywho, I told him, I was like, you have to come over and talk. He came over. So we just laying there and I'm like, I gotta talk to you. It wasn't awkward, but I was making it awkward because of course I was nervous. Like, how do you tell somebody that you're pregnant? I don't know how. I didn't want to tell anybody really, but how do you tell somebody that you're pregnant? And of course, like, it wasn't planned. So how do you tell him? So in my head, I'm like, what do I say? What do I say? So we just laying there and I'm like, oh, he trying to talk about his day at work, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's besides the point. We need to focus here. So I'm like, oh, we gotta talk. You remember? I was like, you remember the thing we did a few weeks ago? Like, why am I being a weirdo? Like, why am I being a weirdo? I was like, you remember the thing we did a few weeks ago? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you know. And then we just got quiet. And he was like, you pregnant? And I was like, yeah. And then we just was laying there in silence. Because it was like, what did we do? What did we say? Very awkward encounter. Do not recommend. After that, I think I went and got like the test and showed him the test, and then we don't got to talk about what happens after that. So then let's talk about So let's talk about our first trimester symptoms. My first trimester symptoms, to start off, I told you the way I found out was I just had like intuition. Like, I just felt like I was pregnant. I just felt like it was something I was supposed to be doing more than what I was already doing. I felt like there was a mission I had to complete. It was just so weird, but it was like a spiritual, it was just like an internal feeling, like spiritual awakening type thing, but we're not going to get into that. So yeah, I had the intuition. I just kind of knew. But first trimester, after that, I want to say I was about 6-7 weeks pregnant. So like 3 weeks after I found out, I had bleeding. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I done told this man that I'm pregnant and now I'm bleeding. What do I do? I'm freaking out. Y'all, when I tell y'all, it was not that much blood. It was like I put on like a liner and it was a little bit of blood in that, whatever, but it was no blood when I wiped. There was no blood. Like, it was not a lot of blood, but I'm freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I ran to the hospital. I went to a private hospital actually, and they charged me a lot. They charged me a big bill. But I was like, I got to go to the hospital, so it doesn't even matter, because I went to the closest one. So I was like, it doesn't even matter. I pay whatever. Just please, like, help me, basically. So I paid like $400 when I got there, and then they still sent me like I want to say an $800 bill or something like that. But I didn't care at the moment. So the doctor took me back. Shoot, it was a man. Yeah, it was a man. He was like, I don't see any blood, so I'm not sure what you were talking about, but it's okay to have, excuse me, but it's okay to have like a little bit of spotting and whatnot. So I was like, okay, well, all right. So then nothing was wrong with that. I ended up being there for a few hours, and then after that I went to talk to him again just to update him on what was happening, because I thought something bad was happening, and I was like, I just wanted to talk about like what if. But mainly for me it was the throwing up. Like I had nausea and like throwing up so terribly in my first trimester. It was like for weeks at a time. So other than that, I didn't have that many like big symptoms, but it was just, of course, like the regular pregnancy stuff. Some other symptoms I had was cramping. I was cramping a good amount actually. I really don't know why. It was like, I really don't know why I was cramping, now that I think about it. But I did have like faint cramping. It wasn't like cramping like I'm on my period. It was just like cramping for no reason in my stomach, like little cramps, but nothing to reflect your period. So I feel like that's kind of different. And then around weeks, probably like 2 weeks later, so like 7 weeks to like 12 weeks, the worst throwing up ever. So 7 to 10 weeks exactly, I was puking like crazy. I mean, everything that I would eat, it would come back up. I couldn't eat anything but fruit, and then I would order soup from the Chinese place, and I would just like drink the broth off of the soup, because I was throwing up so much and it didn't even make sense to try to eat anything else. So, oh, I also had medicine subscribed for my nausea. Didn't do anything. Did not do anything. The only thing that did help a little bit was my ginger chews, but that was once the nausea wasn't as bad anymore. So, and honestly, outside of the throwing up and everything else that I was going through in the moment of pregnancy, like after the first trimester, it gets easier. For most people, it does get easier. The nausea will ease up around, my nausea literally eased up going into the second trimester. So around like 12 weeks, it eased up. And just enjoy your pregnancy, because I wish I would have soaked up more moments with her in my belly. Like, I felt like I did a pretty good job of like documenting and like doing the things that I wanted to do. But then I look back and I'm like, dang, I wish I would have did like the bump growth and like watch my bump grow with the different pictures and the videos and stuff like that. And I wish I would have like taken the maternity pictures for real, and like I wish I would have just, you know, like enjoyed it more. I wish I would have had a baby shower. I wish I would have did all those things. And it's like, you can't really get those moments back. Like, even if you have another baby, it's not going to be the same as getting the moments back you could have had with the first baby, you know? But just some things I would look out for if I felt like I was pregnant again. I would just take a test at 4 weeks. I would wait till my period comes, or my period is supposed to come, because if not, you're just gonna freak yourself out that whole week while you're waiting, like I did. Like, I tested a week early, and during that whole week until my period was supposed to come, I was freaking out. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, well, I feel pregnant, but it says that I'm not pregnant. So what if I am pregnant, or what if I'm not pregnant, and then all this stuff is going on, then what's wrong with me, and da 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 da. Just wait and take the test at 4 weeks. And if you take a test and it's a light positive, just take it again in a few days, because if I wouldn't have taken that test again, I would have just thought, oh, my period will come late. Maybe I'm just late for whatever other reason. Take another test, because you might be pregnant. And if you take a test and it's a light positive, just take it again in a few days, because if I wouldn't have taken that test again, I would have just thought, oh, my period will come late. Maybe I'm just late for whatever other reason. Take another test, because you might be pregnant. And honestly, outside of the throwing up and everything else that I was going through in the moment of pregnancy, like after the first trimester, it gets easier. For most people, it does get easier. The nausea will ease up around. My nausea literally eased up going into the second trimester. So around like 12 weeks, it eased up. And just enjoy your pregnancy, because I wish I would have soaked up more moments with her in my belly. Like, I felt like I did a pretty good job of like documenting and like doing the things that I wanted to do. But then I look back and I'm like, dang, I wish I would have did like the bump growth and like watch my bump grow with the different pictures and the videos and stuff like that. And I wish I would have like taken the maternity pictures for real, and like I wish I would have just, you know, like enjoyed it more. I wish I would have had a baby shower. I wish I would have did all those things. And it's like, you can't really get those moments back. Like, even if you have another baby, it's not going to be the same as getting the moments back you could have had with the first baby, you know? So, I don't know. I just say that to say, if you think you're pregnant, go take a test, first of all. And if you think you're pregnant and you know you're pregnant, it's okay. It's okay. But just take this time to start planning out life. Because another thing I would have wished I did, since I worked in the club, I stopped working immediately because, like, people play too much, first of all. You never know what can happen at a club. And it's just a lot of bad energy at the club, even though I loved it. And I do feel like I might go back one day. I don't know. But it's a lot of negative energy at the club. And if you're not in the right headspace, I had to do what I had to do to protect my womb. And it wasn't being protected there. Like, it was just too much going on. Like, I literally walked in the dressing room one day and one of my friends was trying to play with me. And she was like, where you been or something? And then tried to like punch me in the stomach. And I was like, I had like jumped back and kind of pushed her. And then she got mad at me, but she didn't know I was pregnant. Nobody knew I was pregnant. So I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say, because I'm not going to tell her. Because she was like a work friend. She wasn't like a friend. But I was like, I'm not going to tell her nothing. But I just kind of upset her because blah, blah, blah. But it was just a lot going on. So I wish I would have kept working. That's one thing I do wish. Like, before the nausea came on too bad, I wish I would have worked a few more weeks, because I didn't work my whole pregnancy until I was probably like 28 weeks. When I was working, I worked for a week at Ross, and then I had a work from home job for 2 weeks. So I only got through training, then I had her. So I just wish I would have did more of that. More working. And like taking advantage of being pregnant. Like, you know? Yeah. But that's really all I got. Like, that's how I found out I was pregnant. Those were my first trimester symptoms. And if y'all want to know like second trimester symptoms and like other pregnancy tips or mom tips or anything, I am a first time mom, so I'm still like working through the kinks. I'm still learning everything as I go. But I don't know, I just really enjoy like talking about my experience to other people. And like, pregnancy was such a beautiful thing. I just wish more people could enjoy it. So if I can do anything to help make it easier for other people, then I definitely will. I'm sorry, I talk with my hands a lot. But yeah, if I could help make that experience easier for other people, then I would love to do that in as many ways as possible. So this is one way. So let me know if you got any questions. And if y'all want me to talk about like second trimester, I don't really have much experience for third trimester because I missed 2 months of third trimester since I had her early. But I can talk about my postpartum experience, which this is a journey. This is a journey, and I'm just wondering when does it like kind of like level out, you know? But I can talk about whatever. So yeah, just ask y'all questions below and let me know. Yeah. But my name is yazminejahnaii. It's yazminejahnaii across all socials. So make sure y'all follow me and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'm posting motherhood, beauty, lifestyle, and just anything. Like, I hate to say I have a niche because like I do have a niche. My main niche is motherhood, but I love beauty. Like, I'm trying to get back to my passion, and my passion is beauty. And then I just like to post my life, so lifestyle. But yeah, at yazminejahnaii on all socials. Okay, love you later.